Hello and welcome to the Trendy Coffee Podcast with me, James Hammond. I'll be bringing you trendy coffees from all around the world in any city, any country, anywhere. Grab yourself a trendy coffee, strap in and join me on my journey as I seek out trendy coffees all around the world. Welcome to this week's Trendy Coffee Podcast episode, and it's a very special episode as I round up some trendy cafes and coffees on the island of Karpathos in Greece. The reason I went here was because I looked on the map and picked an island I'd never heard of. So I popped there in December and I thought, I'll check it out and see what there is to offer. As you can see, fantastic beaches and deserted beaches. Loving the wave noises here. And finally, if you want to know where it is, it's between Crete and Rhodes, and I'd highly recommend you visiting in the off-season when there's no one around, but at least in the shoulder season. So let's get stuck into the first of the cafes. My first trendy coffee when I arrived from Athens was at Harper's Cafe, which is on the waterfront in the main town of Pegadia. A sensational Americano. The right cup, the right size, the right blend. Absolutely loved it. Smashed that in with a bit of lunch, and I've done a bit of work on the podcast with a view. Fantastic start to Karpathos Island. As planned, I was always going to drive up north to see Olympos, which is a traditional Greek village. So I popped in my Skoda and I went north on the coastal road and then through the mountains to Olympos. A real hairy ride, no barriers on some of the windy roads alongside the mountain, and no protection from the rocks that could fall from the rain. I was driving in cloud, in fog, and I couldn't see much. But I finally got there and was rewarded with this fantastic view. Now, is there anything open in Olympos? It's really a summer town for tourists. So I popped in and walked the windy little streets, which are sensational, by the way. And I found one place, and it's actually the place I want to go to. And it's called Cafe Parthenon. I saw this on Instagram on a fantastic reel a few weeks before. The owner, Nikos, was opening up for lunch, and he had a cup of coffee and a cake. And he invited me in for an hour for a chat and told me all about the history of Olympos, his cafe, and his hotel, which he showed me later on. A real nice chat with Nikos. Please visit him and support this fantastic local cafe. The coffee was Nescafe Americanos, but that didn't really matter because I enjoyed the chat with Nikos and getting to learn about Greece, Karpathos Island, and the history of Olympos. Now back into main town, Pegadia. I want to go for a nice trendy coffee at Cafe Pantheon. This is a super trendy cafe. It was actually full inside when I went there, so I sat outside with a book and a cup of coffee. Unfortunately the night before wasn't feeling too great, so this was the perfect remedy. You can sit outside and watch the world go by as families and people who hang out with friends come to chill out for a coffee, and I would highly recommend supporting this local cafe. The coffee was even trendier and the trendiest on the island I experienced. A fantastic cup. I had 2 coffees there. It was that good. And they serve Lavassa coffee. Would highly recommend it. My final cafe of this special episode was a nice trendy little coffee at my local called Lambrinos Cafe. I started to realise that I was the only tourist in town, and this cafe was the closest to my Airbnb. So I popped in one day and the owner said, give you a coffee and an orange juice, and we had a little chat, and she said, if you need anything, just let me know. Come back for a beer one time or come back again and we'll serve you an even better breakfast. I said, okay. So the first time was just a coffee and orange juice. And then second time I went back just before I had to leave Karpathos Island for coffee, and she made me a traditional Greek omelette, which was sensational. A super cheap cafe, friendly locals, and a lot of the locals come and hang out there. You won't be disappointed by the hospitality shown at this fantastic local cafe. To summarise, Karpathos was a plethora of sights, sounds, and just dreamy views. And to go with that, in the main town of Pegadia, and of course in Olympos up north, coffees were to be had. I had so many trendy ones that I listed the best 4 here, and they've all got a different vibe to them. Harper's is brilliant for breakfast and a real solid trendy coffee with a view. Olympos is a must on the island, so you have to go to Cafe Parthenon because in the summer I can imagine that being sensational as you sit outside and watch the people walk the windy streets. Just a dream. So I need to go back in the summer. Cafe Pantheon probably looks the best on the island in terms of how it looks. Sit outside with a book and a coffee and watch the world go by. And Lambrinos is your traditional Greek local cafe which serves decent coffee and a traditional Greek breakfast. So overall, Karpathos Island for me gets a trendiness rating score of 8.1 out of 10. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed a special and different type of Trendy Coffee podcast episode. Ciao. Do you fancy supporting podcasts today? Then head to my TeePublic affiliate link in the description below, where you can help support the podcast by buying t-shirts, mugs, wall art, or whatever you want. Simply click the link, choose what you want, and buy it today, and this really helps podcasts gain a bit of traction going forward. As you can see, I'm wearing my new t-shirt and I absolutely love it. Get stuck in, and thank you so much. Subscribe today on YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and you can also rate and review on any of your podcast platforms that you use for your podcasts. Thank you.